Phil sick. Spanky, glad to see you. Thank you. Happy you're feeling better.
Phil spelled P-H-I-L, sick. Phil, sick. That's fun.
What?
Is it cold like Indiana? Yes. Every bit is cold. Same
well,
attitude.
In Indiana, though, we get a lot of the... Well, I'm thinking southern Indiana because I'm from Kentucky, and you can get that wet cold that penetrates you down to the bones, and that's a little different.
I used to live in Zionsville, Indiana, northern Indiana.
Oh, yeah?
It's a lot the same.
Oh. Okay. So I'd imagine, yes. 619 Dino fan. Hello.
Dio fan.
Oh, Dio. Sorry, Dino. Dio fan. I don't have a question. I'm glad to see you back posting videos. Your health should always come first. You did miss us mountain years. Oh, thanks. Very nice. Appreciate it.
Really enjoy our guys' videos. Poor guys, probably miss the Waikiki. Now don't laugh at me. I have an 88 Fiero GTS nothing to laugh at. It's a cool car. I know, right? Well, future plans will have a 3800 supercharged motor from a late 90s GM. That's cool. But my question now is, what would you recommend for the electronic ignition upgrade over what is in it now, which is the 2.8 V6? In 86, 87, 88, and so on, the ignition era sucked. I'd just do whatever comes. What I would do is I'd get a wrecked or, you know, whatever GTP, Pontiac Grand Prix GTP, and just use the computer and the ignition and everything out of that. I mean, that'll save you so much headache and everything if you just do that. Just use the same ignition system and everything. That's what I do. Those GTPs, you can pick them up cheap. I know, because I tried to sell one. My wife wanted one. I had a car that I loved, and she wanted to get rid of it and wanted the GTP, so we got it. I think that's one of the very few cars that I've ever bought that I didn't make money on or get more out of it than I bought it for. Yeah. Paul Morales wants to know, will you marry me? Spelled M-E-R-R-Y, as in happy. I'll make you happy. I'm just kidding. Like Merry Christmas.
If you mean the other way, I'm already taken.
I'll tell you a funny joke. Okay. Can you show me how to replace an electric window with a crank window that will work when I want it to? I've replaced 2 motors in about 10 years. 2 motors in 10 years isn't too bad, you know, for a driving window. Best thing you can do is just, if that vehicle has a non-power option, is to just do that. Another thing you can do is where the motor goes, take the gear off of that, and then you'd have to fabricate some type of a handle or interface for it. I'll show you how. I don't know if I want to do that to any cars. I like power windows. Got my brand new truck. Yeah, let's switch that to road. Not going to happen. So maybe that's a no. I don't say no very often. Hello there, Brian. Is he? And that was from Doofus RuneScape. Okay, Jacob Chivius.
Like mischievous.
Chivius. Hello there, Brian and Spanky. It'd be nice to see a video. It would be nice to see a video explaining how 4x4 works on different trucks or cars. Referring the PBH solenoid, front hubs, engine vacuum air lines, ESOF, air vacuum pump, solenoids, fuses, leak test hub assembly, and lines. Everything that has to, and even on 4-wheelers, they got the electronic one, like on the Polaris electromagnetic. Everything that has to do with 4-wheel drive. I haven't seen any great videos about 4x4 explaining everything, every little detail of 4-wheel drive. I have a Ford Excursion 2000 V10 and a Jeep Grand Wagoneer 1984. So, as far as that goes, I've got a couple of videos on different stuff like that, like the electric one that I mentioned on the Polaris. I have a video on that, and then also on 2001 Dodge Ram that had the vacuum actuated. I converted it to the posi lock. So I've got a posi lock video on that, and I'm going into quite a bit of detail on how that works. So look at that in the meantime. John B. Copperstad. Have either you or Brian used any 3D printer parts in your repairs? Last August, I replaced the driver's door window guide that keeps the window on the track for up and down. It's still working great as of January 9th, 2000. That is awesome. That's what I'm thinking of right now, if I'm sure of that. Even though the window isn't getting used much right now, has anyone you know used these type of parts? Brian, have you thought about acquiring a 3D printer to make parts for repairs? I have. The hard part about that is, just training. I'm always getting new software, new computers, or new scan tools, all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of a learning curve to that, and it's hard to find time to do that. Doing 2 videos a week, sometimes 3 videos a week, and then just keeping up with everybody else's demands. That's the biggest thing that intimidates me about that. That is the cost of the printers. Because if you're going to be doing your own parts for it, I'd have to be trained on the XYZ and doing that. So I've thought about it, but I'm a little slow on getting on board with that.
I've never thought about it at all.
But for window guide stuff like that, would be awesome. Or even just some corkscrew stuff for like a door motor or something, like the GM ones for HVAC.
Yeah.
That would be good for that.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
It hadn't really crossed my mind yet, so anyway.
Billy N4C. So Spanky Brian, at what age did you get into mechanics, and what were your first cars? We did that one already too, didn't we?
Yes, marry me, Spanky. If not, I get it. In a pinch, I will settle for Brian.
We're both taken.
Yeah,
Thanks, all. I'm flattered. So I was happy to see your pretty smile. That's for you.
Jay Schneider. Happy to see your pretty smile again, and glad you're feeling better. Thank you. Everyone at my work has been out sick, so nasty flu this year. Yes, it is. When did you become interested in automotive technology? Are you in school now? And do you or Brian have any experience with GDI engines?
GDI? Turbo diesel injection.
Well, that's what I was thinking, because I don't know what a GDI is. I know what a
GT
GDI
is here, TT is here. Turbo diesel injected engines, I do. I like them. Grab them.
I have once helped someone with a Volkswagen.
Don't do biofuel on them.
Don't do biofuel?
No, you get something that's like, bubble gum before you chew it?
Yeah.
This deposit crap, the vegetable oil stuff leaves in it.
Yeah.
It seizes up the engine. It's salvageable, but it's a real pain in the neck. I think it's CDI engines, but anyway. So why do your coveralls say Princess Tools? I like
Tours.
But it says Tours on them.
Because I worked for them, and I asked my boss if I could keep a pair or two, and he said, yeah, go ahead. So I was like, okay, I asked. So they're very handy.
She used to work for them, the buses.
Yeah, I worked on their buses and their just regular fleet vehicles. So most of my bus experience is on the MCIs. But I didn't get to learn as much as I wanted because it was kind of slim pickings as far as if you were at work, you had to be working on something, and lots of times I was working by myself, but often just working on fleet vehicles.
So John Bailey asks, oh, that is John Bailey, the coverall ones, and he says, are you and Brian on LSD? They spelled it LDS. Not on drugs. No.
John Kinane, hope I'm saying that right. G'day. He's in Australia. I know that though. Didn't know Didn't know that you all were not feeling well, and good that you're all over it. Yes.
Apparently we're getting really tired of reading these.
Yeah, we are. I have two questions for you and Brian. The first is leaking diesel injectors. That sounds more like a Brian question. Where they go into the cylinder head, and what could be the possible cause?
Okay.
Okay, you go ahead.
So, if you have a leaky injector, you probably drive a Duramax. It's kidding. No, it could happen on anything, but if you do, you really got to take care of that. Let's see, as far as where it should be injecting just right over where the piston is. That's how they fire. They don't have spark plugs. They just fire the diesel into that highly compressed, highly heated air, and it goes bang. So if it's leaking, you know, it's just going to cause it to basically have a bunch of white smoke coming out. Usually that's what you see. This is Spanky. How would you set up a chicken coop in a metropolitan area? If you go away for a little while, how can you make sure that they're getting water and feed if no one is there to look after them when you're gone? That's kind of irresponsible. I always get somebody to watch mine. That's your question, though.
My neighbor watches mine for me. He's awesome. He and his wife both grew up on chicken farms, and so they don't mind. And they get paid in eggs. I just tell them they can keep all the eggs that they get during the time frame.
And there's feeders that'll last for days. I know if I'm going to go out of town for 3 to 5 days, I've got these great big containers that are enough to break your back, you know, for water and food that usually last pretty good.
Yeah. Mine, I have one of those big feeders, and it'll feed. I have 8 chickens. I'm only supposed to have 6. But that'll feed them for about 4 days. It seems to be getting a little less because all the finches have been getting in there and eating it.
Mine too.
Yeah.
It's nuts. It's like all of a sudden they figured out.
It's not chicken poop, it's finch poop, I found.
Yeah.
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 Or not chicken, I mean.
And the chickens don't defend their food either. I'm like, come on, chickens, you guys are big. All you got to do is take 3 steps toward that feeder and they'll scare them off. So, you know, those finches go through this food faster than the chickens do.
Yeah, they're going through a lot.
They're voracious, man.
But it depends. A lot of metropolitan areas you can't have chickens. Where I live, you're allotted to have 3. You don't have to get any 6. You don't have to get any permits or anything. You do in other areas. One of my friends was about a half an hour away, and she had to get a permit, and she gave them her coop plans and what the layout of the yard was and what there was between her yard and the neighbor's yard, and it was rather unnecessary, I thought, but.
And a lot of cities have bans on chickens, you know, metropolitan. We live in a metropolitan area where it's allowed, and it used to not be allowed. You know, they just do it in a residential place. But where I live is old farmland and old orchards and all that kind of stuff, and you can kind of grandfather it in. So. All right, Raymond Scott asks, you mentioned that Brian is running a business out of his garage. What sort of legal requirements were involved? He says, I'm curious about the mundane details for some reason. I'm glad that you and your family are feeling better. So, anyway, I'll answer that first question, or first part. As far as the legal requirements, it depends on what you're doing. You know, as I said, I'm running a studio now. It's not a repair garage, but you have to, it just depends on your city. Different cities will have different kind of zoning or requirements, etc. So, you know, nowadays with the internet, oftentimes you don't have to go into even into the city headquarters or city center. You can just go online and see what the map is and what the zoning is and all that kind of stuff. Where I'm at, it borders the commercial area. So basically, as long as people didn't complain, I could do that. But you have to have adequate parking. You have to be zoned for it. You have to have inspections. You have to have a wastewater catch. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that goes into it, just depending on where you are and what your requirements are. So this is Sandbag 1300, and the question is on the front end vibration when driving on the highway. It's got a Jeep Grand Cherokee. It's well maintained with 70,000 miles with new and balanced OEM tires. I think he's saying OEM size. There's no way you got OEM tires if it's new tires and 70,000 miles. It's a contradiction. Okay, the vehicle drives very smooth on the highway up to 65 miles an hour. At 75 miles per hour, however, I feel a little vibration in the steering wheel. Could that be bearings, ball joints, the steering gear, tie rods? How do I find out? That could be a number of things. I'm going to say that with a Jeep Grand Cherokee, usually it's a track bar that causes a little wobble when you get up to speed. But when it's a speed related, and you don't say that you hit a bump, because usually people hit a bump and that'll initiate that shake in the steering wheel. But any play in the front end can do it. But usually, like I say, what you find is that it's a track bar. What's a track bar? It's a link that goes from the axle up to the body. So it's their unibody construction. But that's what I check first. And you say that they're balanced tires. That's the first thing I check. You already did that. So if it's not bump initiated, I mean, that could be any number of things. That could be an out of balance brake rotor. It could be, you know, sometimes you got the what do I want to say, drive axle problem or whatever. But usually it's a track bar. So I'm gonna stick with that.
Nice.
Is this the last one?
Yeah, this last one.
The last question? Okay. There's a lot of them. Kind of a quick way to do it, but it still takes some time.
Yeah.
Okay, good to know you and your loved ones have all recovered nice. This is yours.
Nice to see your smile again. Thank you. Question for you and Brian. What's a quality torque wrench you would recommend for a DIYer? For is that? I'm guessing that's Italian. I have just a Craftsman. And it works pretty well. It doesn't go up really high. Like I can't use it to tighten lug nuts to 95 foot-pounds because it doesn't go that high. I think it only goes to like 75.
What?
Yeah.
What good is that?
Well,
I don't use a torque wrench for a lot of things.
I don't anymore now.
I mean, after you've been doing it for years and years, you could pretty much write the manual on what torque should be, or what it, you know, you kind of get an idea for what aluminum can take and what steel can take, and, you know, the mix of the two. As far as my answer on that, I like, Craftsman drives me crazy. I like the Great Neck ones if it's a DIYer one. I'd stay away from the Harbor Freight stuff. But either Great Neck or Craftsman for DIYer stuff. But, you know, as far as for the professionals, I really like Snap-on and Cornwell.
Okay, well, we've reached the end. Aw, that was fun. Thanks so much for submitting your questions, and I hopefully that you enjoy the answers. Leave comments in the comments section below. Click like, subscribe. Make sure you check out Brian's Mobile One.
And as far as comments, I'd really like to hear what you guys thought of this video. If it was entertaining, if you felt that it was a productive, cool thing, something you want to see more of, or what you'd like to see in question answer videos.
Yeah. So.
Cheers.